Hello everyone, I'm Heather. A little while ago, I made this video where I compared two Walt Disney World resort hotels, Pop Century Resort and Port Orleans French Quarter Resort. Then I decided to make another comparison video between Port Orleans Riverside Resort and Yacht Club Resort. In these videos, I wanted to not only give you some specific details about those individual resorts to help you make an informed decision about whether you wanted to stay there, but I also wanted to compare a value resort with a moderate resort and a moderate resort with a deluxe resort. And I gave you some general information in those videos about what the differences are between those. At the time that I made that first video comparing Pop Century to French Quarter, I asked my viewers if there were any other Disney World resorts that they wanted me to compare specifically. Nobody gave me any suggestions other than the one that I'm going to talk about in today's video, and that is someone asked me if I could compare the Walt Disney World value resorts to each other. So that's what we're going to do today. There are 5 Walt Disney World value resorts. However, one of them I don't consider to actually technically be a value resort, and I'll explain why. But the 5 existing Walt Disney World value resorts are, first of all, the All-Star Resorts. This is a set of 3 resorts which are basically kind of all the same, and they're located together in one area, like all together. You can actually walk from one to the other. And that's All-Star Movies, All-Star Music, and All-Star Sports. Now, we've stayed at All-Star Music before. However, we did stay in a fully renovated family suite, which is a little bit different than the standard rooms that you would get there. And I have a video about that on my channel. And we're going to be staying at All-Star Sports on an upcoming trip. The other 2 value resorts are also located right next to each other. They're actually across a bridge from each other. On one side is Disney's Pop Century Resort, which we've stayed at several times, and I have lots of videos about on my channel. And on the other side is Disney's Art of Animation Resort. Art of Animation is the one value resort that I don't really consider to be a value resort for a price. Not that it's really any different than the other value resorts. All of these have some commonalities, which I'll talk about in a second. But the prices at Art of Animation, because the majority of that resort are family suites, are quite high. And the price per night of the rooms there, except for the Little Mermaid rooms, which are typical standard value resort type rooms, the price of all of those family suites, as well as the family suites that you would find at All-Star Music, are considerably higher than not only a value resort, they're also higher than what you would pay at a moderate resort. So the prices for the family suites anywhere in a value resort are going to make those resorts price-wise per night more in line with a deluxe resort actually for what you're going to pay. Okay, first I'm going to tell you what all of the value resorts have in common. They are all the same type of building. They are all basically big block motel style buildings. I think they're all 4 stories tall. They're all kind of the same shape. They're all laid out about the same. They're basically kind of like T-shaped buildings. They do have elevators. They all have exterior hallways. So to get to your room, you're going to walk in an exterior walkway, a sidewalk, or if you go up a level, then you're kind of like on a balcony area, and the doors to the rooms are outside. There are stairs too, and the stairs are usually themed kind of cool at the value resorts. But know that if you do get assigned a room on an upper floor and you have mobility issues or you have a lot of luggage, you don't need to worry about it because there are elevators at all of them. They are all beautifully landscaped and wonderfully themed. There's some of the coolest theming at the value resorts. They're very bright and colorful resorts, and so they are actually a lot of fun for kids because kids really enjoy the bright, colorful atmosphere. There's lots of places to like walk and run around. There's all sorts of fun, cool things to look at. You know, they all have giant, exaggerated size stuff. So like at Pop Century, there's a giant Mickey phone and there's a giant Big Wheel. There's a giant Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. At Art of Animation, there's giant Cars things, and there's giant stuff from Lion King, and there's giant fish on the side of the building from Finding Nemo. Larger than life, very colorful. The other thing that's similar about them, in addition to the fact that the buildings are all the same, the layout is all the same, the rooms are really pretty much all the same. The only difference in the rooms is that there's either going to be your standard rooms or you're going to have some family suites. I'm pretty sure the family suites are only at All-Star Music and Art of Animation. Pop Century, All-Star Sports, and All-Star Movies, I don't think have any family suites. If I'm wrong about that, somebody correct me in the comments. But I'm pretty sure that's right. The only difference you're going to see besides whether it's a standard room or a family suite is there's going to be different pricing available based on the location of the room. So you'll have standard rooms, which are going to be the majority of them. You might have some that are pool facing if you want that. And then you're going to see something called a preferred room. The only difference between a preferred room and a standard room is that it's closer to the main building. So if that's important to you because you don't want to walk as much, pay a little more for a preferred room. However, I've never paid for a preferred room, and I've never found the walk from the main building to my room to be that big a deal. They're definitely not as spread out as the moderate resorts are, like Port Orleans, Riverside, or Caribbean Beach Resort. You don't need a bus to get from building to building. You can very easily walk it. All the value resorts have a main building which contains the front desk and, the lobby and guest services, a combination gift shop and food court, which is all kind of together, an arcade, restrooms. There might be like a little activities area where they might hold things like, arts and crafts and things like that. There's always a mailbox in there. That's also going to be where you go to get transportation. So that's where you're going to get dropped off by, like Mirrors Connect or a taxi or a Lyft or an Uber at one door. And then out the other door is where you're going to go to get your bus transportation. So all of that's going to be in the main building at all 5 value resorts. They're very similar. The only difference is in how they're themed. The other thing that's similar about all 5 value resorts is they all have flat pools. They're big pools, and some of them are themed kind of cool. There's no hot tubs, there's no splash pads, there's no slides at any of the value resorts. But there's still fun pools, and they do pool games by the pools at all the resorts, and so the kids still have a lot of fun, and they're nice big pools. The other thing that's similar about all of them is that you do not have a table service or sit-down restaurant at any of the value resorts. Your only options for eating at the value resorts are the food courts. Here's something that has to do with location, which I'll come to in a minute. The all-star resorts, which are, like I said, are all situated together in one place, are very close. In fact, the only resorts that are really close to the McDonald's. There's one McDonald's on Disney World properly, and several years ago it was renovated and they made it all like environmentally friendly. It's all plants and stuff, and it's really cool. It's like got 0 carbon footprint or something. I don't know. It's neat, but it's right at you go past it on your way to the all-star resorts. So if you want another option for getting food besides quote unquote Disney food near your resort, the all-star resorts are nice because you do go past that McDonald's like every time you go in and out of those resorts. I don't even think you would know that it was there if you're staying anywhere else on Disney property. So hopefully that kind of covers everything that's similar about the value resorts. The other thing that's going to be similar, and I'm just going to take like a standard room for this, note that this would only be the Little Mermaid rooms, which is one building at Art of Animation. Little Mermaid room and most of the other rooms at the other 4 resorts are going to be priced $100 something. They're going to be $100 something a night. Our upcoming stay at All-Star Sports, I'm paying as low as $120 a night. And the high, because it changes per night depending on demand, the high is $160 per night. So I'm paying an average of $140 per night at All-Star Sports in the summer. As I've said before, you will always find promotions on all of the rooms at Walt Disney World. If you think one promotion's ending, don't panic because another promotion is probably going to start right after it. They almost always have a room promotion. You should never really pay rack rate at Walt Disney World if you're staying at Walt Disney World Resort because there's almost always a promotion going on. So you should expect to pay between $100 and, maybe $150, $60 per night for a regular room at a value resort at Walt Disney World. If you get one of those family suites, and that would include most of the rooms at Art of Animation, you're going to be paying more than $300 a night. So it's going to be in the $300 to $400 range per night for the family suites, either at All-Star Music or at Art of Animation. So that's why I say that those don't really count as value pricing. You're still staying at a value resort. Those suites are very nice. They give you lots of room. They have 2 bathrooms in them, which is really nice, and lots more places for people to sleep. They also have kitchenettes with microwaves and everything in them and sinks, so that can be really handy. They have tables and chairs. They do convert into a bed, so you have to have, you have to pull them up and down. But if you need a little more space or you want to be able to cook and eat in your room, or you have a lot of people and you want to keep them all together in one suite, that is a good way to go. Now, I would compare that to what we're doing. We're getting 2 rooms on our upcoming stay at All Star Sports. So I'm actually paying between $240 and $320 a night for the 2 rooms together. I'm still probably paying less for 2 standard rooms than I am for 1 family suite. A family suite is probably always going to be more than even 2 standard rooms at a value resort. I'm still going to get an individual bed for everybody in our party, and I'm going to get 2 bathrooms. The one thing that we lose out on by doing it that way is we don't get the kitchenette or the table and chairs. You do have a table and chairs, but you're going to lose them by folding down one of the beds. So I'll come back to that when I talk about the rooms. Okay, let's talk about location. The value resorts are basically located just in 2 places. 3 of them, the All-Star resorts, are all together, like I said, near the McDonald's. They're pretty far from the parks, and I will come back to how that affects you when I talk about transportation. But they're in a nice, it's very woodsy. There's lots of trees. It's really pretty, actually, where the All-Star resorts are. There's plenty of parking, but they're all side by side. It's kind of, I think it's a dead end road. You go down that road, you have to go through the gate before you get to any of the resorts. And if you're staying on site, you scan your magic band and they let you in. I don't know why you would be coming there if you're not staying there. There's nothing else down that road. And then you come to just one after the other. The driveways are just one after the other. And the resorts are actually, if you're on one end of one of the resorts, you can see the next resort. It's like literally, you can walk across the parking lot and it's right there. So All-Star Sports, All-Star Music, All-Star Movies are right in a row on that road. They're all together. So it's really kind of like the All-Star complex. But they do each have their own individual main buildings, and the theming is completely different at each resort. The other 2, Pop Century and Art of Animation, were originally meant to be one resort, but they abandoned the side that eventually became Art of Animation for a while when they ran out of money. They sat empty for a long time. They decided not to do that part. They were going to do them in like the 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s was going to be that side, those decades. But instead, they just kept Pop Century on that theme. Pop Century is the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And so then they eventually finished that resort and made it into Art of Animation, which focuses on Disney animation. It's really cool theming. But they're situated right across Hourglass Lake from each other. It's a little small lake. And there's a bridge that goes across that you can walk very easily from one to the other. We've made a video about this in the past. And on the bridge, right in the middle of the bridge, is the Skyliner station that you can get on the Skyliner. And I'll come back to that when I talk about transportation. 3 of the value resorts are situated together. The other 2 value resorts are situated together. They are some of the largest resorts with the most rooms on Disney property. So a lot of people can stay at the value resorts. They have a lot more rooms than a deluxe resort would. You can almost always, even if it seems like Disney World is completely booked solid, you can almost always get a room at a value resort because there's usually something left. Okay, let's talk about transportation. If you're staying at one of the All-Star resorts, your only transportation that Disney provides for you to get to the parks is bus. So you're going to have to take a bus. You don't have a car, you don't want to use your car. The only way you can get to the parks from All-Star resorts is to take the Disney bus transportation. We have always had a car staying at an All-Star resort. I just prefer the convenience of being able to get places in a car and not having to take the bus. At Pop Century and Art of Animation, you need to take the bus if you want to go to Magic Kingdom, or you want to go to Animal Kingdom, or Disney Springs. But if you want to go to Epcot or Hollywood Studios or the other resorts that are on the Skyliner line, which include Caribbean Beach and the Riviera, you have the Skyliner there. We really like staying at Pop Century because of the Skyliner. To me, that makes it an advantage over staying at the All-Star resorts because the Skyliner is there and we really like taking the Skyliner. Now, if you're afraid to take the Skyliner, you have a fear of heights or something like that, that's not going to be an advantage for you. But we really find it to be an advantage and we really enjoy taking the Skyliner. Because the Skyliner is at Art of Animation and Pop Century, Art of Animation and Pop Century, although still value resorts, are priced somewhat higher than the All-Star resorts are. That's why on this particular trip, it's costing me a lot because all 4 of us are going. I had to go with an all-star resort because I couldn't quite afford to get 2 rooms at Pop Century. It was just enough more that it was kind of pushing my budget. But when we've stayed there before, I'm always going to choose Pop Century or Art of Animation, probably a Little Mermaid room if I can, because of the advantage of having the Skyliner there to take us to Hollywood Studios and Epcot. It's really quick and easy and we love it. All right, let's talk about the rooms. So a standard room at any of the value resorts, I just want you to know, are the smallest square footage on Disney property. They're very small. And as I've mentioned before, I think that I have actually had cruise ship cabins that are larger than the rooms at the value resorts at Walt Disney World. They're only about 160 maybe square feet. They're very tight. That's why in the renovation of the rooms, they've gone with, instead of having 2 full-size beds, which is what all the value resorts originally had, not a queen, a full size beds in the room, they've gone with 2 queens, and the way that they fit those is by making one of them a Murphy bed. As the rooms have gotten renovated in all the value resorts now, they've gone with 1 fixed queen bed that's open and sitting there solid all the time, and then another queen bed, but it folds up into a Murphy bed, and there's a table and chairs on there that magically disappears when you pull the bed down. So you have a table and chairs and 1 queen bed when you come into the room. But if you need to use that second bed, you lose the table and chairs while the bed is down. In the family suites, both beds pull down. One of them becomes table and chairs, and the other one becomes a sofa. So that's really nice too. And then there is a second room, which basically they took 2 standard rooms and put them together. The second room is like a master bedroom suite. It has a fixed queen bed, might even be a king bed, and another bathroom. And then the kitchenette is kind of squeezed in between. I don't even know how they fit that in there. But that's really nice. That's what the family suites are like. They are a little different at Art of Animation, but they have the same thing. They have 1 bed that is also a sofa, 1 bed that becomes table and chairs, 2 bathrooms, and then a bedroom with a fixed bed in it. It's the same basic components. It's just arranged a little differently in the family suites at Art of Animation. The rooms are very nice. They've been redone. They're very clean lines. They look really nice. The bathrooms are very functional. The sink is always out in a separate area, and then the toilet and shower, or toilet and tub shower, are in a separate room with a door that closes. Some places it's a door and some places it's a pocket door. You can lock all of them. They also do have a sliding solid door that separates the sink area, the bathroom area from the bedroom area, so you can block light and sound. They're very nicely redone, and they're themed in cute touches with Disney characters here and there. Very nice. They're a combination of white and pops of color. So, I mean, the rooms are nice. Just keep in mind they're small. You're going to have trouble both maneuvering around each other if there's more than 2 of you in the room. And if you have a lot of big luggage, that's going to be a problem. There's no luggage racks. In the standard rooms, we've usually put 2 suitcases up on the counter thing above the dresser, and then the other one on a chair is what we usually end up doing. So if you have a lot of big luggage, you're going to have a difficult time with space for your luggage. The other thing you need to be aware of, I don't think, if anybody's done it, let me know, you could fit a mobility scooter inside a value resort room, even a suite. I don't think you could fit it in there. You just wouldn't be able to maneuver it. I don't know where you'd park it. There's just no room. And that's why at the value resorts, you will see a lot of rental mobility scooters parked in this little area at the back of the resort, where Disney just lets the people park them there because they can't fit them in their rooms. So that's something to keep in mind too. If you have a mobility scooter, you could take it all the way to your room, but then you're going to need somebody else in your party to drive it to this parking area for you, and then they walk back. Or you've got to be prepared that you can only take it to this parking area behind the main building, and then you're going to have to walk the rest of the way to your room, because the mobility scooters and strollers, I would add probably, will not fit in your room at any of the value resorts. If you have a stroller with you, you're going to have to fold it up, because I don't think it's going to fit in there otherwise. It's really tight. Just be aware, the rooms are nice, but they're really small. They do also contain a little area with a beverage cooler and coffee thing and some coffee stuff. So that's there too. They do have end tables on each side of both beds, and they do have lots of modern plugs, plug sockets and USB ports and stuff. They're really good about that. Amenities are going to be very similar at both resorts, which I've already kind of talked about. They all have a food court. They all have a gift shop with lots of souvenirs and stuff in it. Lots of resort-specific items in the gift shop you'll see there. The food courts are pretty good. They have nice food courts with a good selection of a lot of different kinds of stuff to eat. Some grab-and-go items, too. You can get your refillable resort mugs there. You can use them there and refill them there. And they have nice big pools. They're flat pools, and they don't have anything extra like slides or hot tubs or anything, but they do have nice big pools, which are always busy and people really enjoy. And like all of the other resorts on Walt Disney World property, they will have the same activities and things like arts and crafts, poolside games, movie nights every night out on the lawn somewhere in the resort. So they all have the same things like that you'll have at any other resort on Walt Disney World property. They're a nice basic option, especially if you don't plan on spending a lot of time in your room or at your resort. They've worked great for us on several trips now. Even a moderate resort is really a stretch for me sometimes. And the deluxe resorts are just crazy expensive. So it would have to be a pretty special occasion and probably a pretty short trip for me to ever stay in a deluxe resort again. But the value resorts have served us well, and we've really enjoyed them. And again, there's not a huge difference between them except for the theming and a little bit of price. I would recommend them for people, but I would just really urge you to understand how small the rooms are. If you've got a bigger family or you've got a lot of luggage or something like that, you really might want to consider bumping up to one of those family suites or getting more than one room. Like side by side, they have connecting rooms. But the value resorts are great at Walt Disney World. They keep them up really nice. They're really beautiful properties. The other thing that I would say, though, especially at the all-star resorts, is you might want to consider having a car if you stay at one of those, unless you really don't mind always having to take the bus transportation. So if you're trying to decide, just pick theming that you enjoy. If it doesn't really matter to you otherwise, if none of the other things I talked about really makes a difference, pick the one that you like the theme the best. Look at some pictures or videos of each of them and see which one you think you'd have the most fun staying at. I hope that answers your questions about how the value resorts at Walt Disney World are alike and different. If you have any further questions, please leave them for me in the comments below. I always answer everybody's questions in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day and safe travels.